The old mill loomed, a skeletal giant against the bruised sky. Jameson, all sharp angles and restless energy, practically vibrated with impatience. Lexi, pale and drawn, hesitated at the edge of the overgrown yard.
You sure about this?
Lexi's voice was barely a whisper. The wind, whistling through the gaps in the mill's boarded windows, seemed to mock her fear. Jameson's hand on her arm was a reassuring pressure. "We need answers, Lex. For Emily." He led her through the weeds towards the gaping maw of the mill's entrance. The air grew colder, thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. An unsettling stillness had settled over the place, broken only by the frantic chirping of unseen birds. Lexi shivered, pulling her jacket tighter. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following their every move. The mill held secrets, she knew it. Secrets that whispered of Emily's fate. Inside, the mill was a cavern of shadows and dust motes dancing in the slivers of light that pierced through the boarded-up windows. Lexi's footsteps echoed in the silence as she followed Jameson deeper into the building. Each creak of the rotting floorboards sent a jolt of fear through her. Jameson, ever the pragmatist, pulled out his flashlight, its beam cutting through the gloom. He examined the walls, his brow furrowed in concentration. "There's something here, Lex. I can feel it." Lexi ran her hand along a crumbling wall, her fingers tracing the outline of something etched into the stone. Symbols. Strange, angular shapes that seemed to writhe and shift in the flickering light.
What are they?
Lexi's voice was tight with apprehension. The symbols seemed to pulsate with a dark energy, whispering of forgotten rituals and ancient powers. Jameson shook his head, a muscle jumping in his jaw. "I don't know, but I bet Emily did." They pressed on, deeper into the heart of the mill, their footsteps echoing in the vast empty space. The air grew thick with the smell of mildew and something faintly sweet, almost cloying. It was a scent that seemed out of place, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Lexi's stomach churned with unease. Then Jameson stopped abruptly, his flashlight beam illuminating a splash of vibrant color on the dusty floor. A scarf. Emily's scarf. The silk, once a vibrant blue, was now dulled with dirt, but there was no mistaking the delicate embroidery. It was a piece of Emily, left behind in this forsaken place. Lexi's breath caught in her throat. It was the last thing Emily had been wearing the night she disappeared. The memory of that night flooded back, sharp and painful. The night she'd vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a town consumed by fear. The darkness of that night seemed to seep into the present moment. As Lexi reached for the scarf, a floorboard creaked behind them. The sound was sharp, sudden, and full of menace. It sent a shiver down her spine. Lexi whirled around, her heart pounding in her chest. The darkness seemed to close in, making it hard to breathe. A figure stood silhouetted in the doorway, the shadows clinging to him like a shroud. He was an ominous presence, a specter in the gloom. His face was hidden in the darkness, but Lexi could feel his gaze on them, cold and calculating. It was a gaze that promised danger, a silent threat in the stillness. Jameson's voice was sharp, laced with adrenaline. "Who's there?" He stepped in front of Lexi, his hand hovering near his jacket pocket, a silent promise of protection. The figure took a step forward and the light from the doorway caught his face. He was older than they expected, his face etched with deep lines that spoke of hard living and even harder truths. His eyes, though, were what held Lexi captive. They were ancient and knowing, filled with a depth of sorrow that sent a shiver down her spine.
"You shouldn't be here. This place, it holds on to things best left forgotten."
We're looking for Emily. Do you know where she is?
The man's gaze seemed to pierce through her, seeing into the depths of her soul. He looked from Lexi to Jameson and then back again. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face and it chilled Lexi to the bone.
Emily. She was drawn to the shadows, just like her mother.
You knew Emily's mother?
Knew her? I knew all of them. They who sought answers in the whispers of the past. They who danced with the shadows and lost their way.
He spoke in riddles, his words heavy with hidden meanings. Lexi exchanged a confused look with Jameson. Who was this man? And what did he know about Emily and her mother?
What are you talking about? What happened to Emily?
The man turned his gaze to Jameson, his eyes boring into him with an intensity that was almost unbearable.
Emily is gone, but she's not lost. She's where she's always been meant to be.
Lexi felt a surge of anger. His cryptic pronouncements were doing nothing to ease their worry.
Tell us what you know. Where is Emily?
I can show you the truth. I can tell you what happened to Emily and why. But be warned, child, the truth is a double-edged sword. It can illuminate, but it can also cut deep.
He took a step closer, his gaze unwavering.
Meet me at the town square tomorrow night when the clock strikes midnight. Come alone, both of you, and come prepared to face the shadows that bind you.
And with that, he melted back into the darkness, disappearing as quickly and silently as he had appeared. The only evidence he had been there at all was the faint scent of wood smoke and the lingering sense of unease that clung to the air like a shroud. Lexi and Jameson stood frozen for a moment, their breaths caught in their throats. The silence seemed to press in on them, heavy with unspoken words and unanswered questions.
What was that? Who was that man?
Jameson ran a hand through his hair, his face etched with a mixture of frustration and determination.
I don't know, Lex, but one thing's for sure, he knows something.
He picked up Emily's scarf, the silk cool and smooth beneath his fingers. It was a tangible link to their missing friend, a reminder of the mystery that had brought them to this crumbling mill and this strange, unsettling man.
We have to go back. This place, it's wrong. It feels tainted.
Jameson squeezed her hand reassuringly.
I know, Lex, I feel it too. But we can't give up now, we're close. I can feel it.
He tucked the scarf carefully into his pocket, a tangible piece of the puzzle they were trying to solve. The shadows in the mill seemed to deepen, pressing in on them, urging them to leave.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Back in the car, the engine's roar was a comforting sound in the unsettling silence that clung to them like cobwebs. The night outside was pitch black, the road ahead barely visible under the dim glow of the headlights. The air was thick with tension, each breath they took heavy with unspoken fears and uncertainties. Lexi hugged herself, trying to quell the tremor that ran through her. She could feel the cold seeping into her bones, a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature outside.
He said he knew Emily's mother. He spoke with a certainty that made Lexi's heart race. What did he mean by that? The question echoed in her mind, refusing to be silenced. And what did he mean about the shadows? The shadows that seemed to follow them, lurking just out of sight.
Jameson's jaw was clenched, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. His knuckles were white as he gripped the steering wheel, determination etched into every line of his face.
I don't know, Lex. His voice was low, filled with a mix of frustration and resolve. But we'll figure it out. We have to. We don't have any other choice.
He glanced at her, his expression softening. There was a promise in his eyes, a silent vow that they would see this through together.
Look, I know this is a lot, more than anyone should have to deal with. This whole town, it's like stepping into a nightmare that we can't wake up from. But we're in this together, okay? We'll find Emily. We'll uncover the truth, no matter what it takes. And we'll get to the bottom of this. We owe it to Emily and to ourselves.
Lexi nodded, drawing strength from his words. She felt a flicker of hope, a small but steady flame in the darkness. But a part of her couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping deeper into something dangerous, something that had been lying dormant in Willow Creek for years, waiting for the right moment to resurface. The town seemed to hold its breath, as if it knew what was coming.
So, what do we do now? Her voice was barely above a whisper, the weight of the situation pressing down on her.
Jameson's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light. There was a fire in them, a determination that was both reassuring and terrifying.
We do what he said. We follow his instructions to the letter. We meet him at the town square at midnight, no matter how dangerous it might seem, and we get our answers. Finally, we'll know the truth.
The drive back to town was a blur. The night seemed to stretch endlessly, the road ahead swallowed by darkness, only occasionally illuminated by the fleeting glow of passing streetlights. Lexi's mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of information, the cryptic pronouncements, the unsettling feeling that clung to the man like a shroud. Who was he? What secrets did he hold? And why did his presence feel like a harbinger of something ominous? And what was his connection to Emily and her mother? The questions swirled in her mind, each one more perplexing than the last, creating a tangled web of mystery and suspicion. Jameson seemed equally lost in thought, his silence punctuated by the tapping of his fingers against the steering wheel. His usual calm demeanor was replaced by a furrowed brow, a sign of the weight of the situation bearing down on him. The setting sun cast long shadows across the road, mirroring the darkness that seemed to be closing in around them. The eerie twilight added to the sense of foreboding that hung in the air, making the journey feel like a descent into the unknown. As they pulled up outside Lexi's house, a wave of exhaustion washed over her. The day's events had taken their toll, leaving her feeling drained and weary. But there was no time for rest, not yet. The urgency of their mission demanded every ounce of her remaining strength and focus. Not with Emily still missing, not with so many unanswered questions hanging in the air. Each clue they uncovered seemed to lead to more questions, deepening the mystery rather than solving it.
I need to do some digging, research, old news articles, anything that might shed some light on this. There has to be something we've missed, some piece of the puzzle that will make everything clear.
Jameson nodded, his gaze steady. His determination was unwavering, a silent promise that he would see this through to the end, no matter the cost.
I'm with you. We meet back here at 11. Be careful, Lex. His voice was firm, but there was an undercurrent of concern that he couldn't quite hide.
Lexi met his gaze, a flicker of fear warring with the determination in her eyes. She knew the risks, but she also knew that they had no choice but to press on.
You too, Jameson, and be ready for anything. Her words were a stark reminder of the dangers they faced, a call to be vigilant and prepared for whatever lay ahead.
As she watched him drive away, a shiver ran down her spine. The night seemed to close in around her, the weight of their mission pressing heavily on her shoulders. The shadows in Willow Creek were deepening, and she had a sinking feeling that the truth, when they found it, would be more terrifying than anything they could have imagined. The unknown loomed large, casting a pall over the small town.